what's up, Giants fans, Hub watchers, YouTube and Rumble subscribers, Twitter and Instagram followers? It's Kush back at it again with another New York Giants update video. Today, of course, we had waiver claims and signings to our practice squad, basically adding to our roster for, editing of the initial 53-man roster. And so the Giants have been pretty active on both of these things in terms of their adding to the practice squad. So far, we've added 4 guys to the practice squad: wide receiver Damian Willis, offensive lineman Brett Heggie, linebacker Nico Lalos, wide receiver Matt Cole. And I want it to be known that none of our guys that we cut yesterday have been claimed by any other team. Kind of goes to show you what other teams think of our players. They think they suck. I can understand that for the offensive line, but I gotta say I'm surprised that a guy in David Sills is still out there. He hasn't been claimed, and for some people that gives them hope that maybe we could resign him to our practice squad. But I don't think we will, because we've already signed a couple of wide receivers. I already said Matt Cole and Damian Willis. Then when we did our claims, and this is the exciting part, we claimed 3 really good players off of the waiver wire. 2 of them, I would say even more than really good, especially in Quincy Roche, the edge rusher. That's somebody I actually wanted for the Giants in the 3rd or 4th round very early on in the draft process. He ended up dropping all the way to the 6th to the Steelers. We also got wide receiver Collin Johnson from the Jaguars, a big body dude with great ball skills that would be a nice red zone target. That kind of, in my opinion, immediately replaces David Sills, because David Sills, the thing about him was his big body, and he did great work with it. Or I'm not gonna put down David Sills or anything. He produced for us, he worked hard for us, he shined in the preseason and in training camp, in practices. However, this guy is the same build as David Sills. He's going to be what we were saying as the immediate backup to Kenny Golladay. Like, in situations where Golladay isn't on the field, this is the big body wide receiver that we put out there. And the 3rd guy that we claimed was linebacker Justin Hilliard as well. Now, here's what I will say. Let me talk about the wide receivers real quick. I already said why I don't think David Sills will be signed, because of, the fact that Collin is kind of his immediate replacement. But we also added 3 guys. You think about the numbers. We have 7 on the depth chart right now for the initial 53-man roster, and until we make some cuts and changes with that actual 7, I don't think we'll add anybody else to the practice squad. It would be a lot of wide receivers to have on this team if we have like 4 on the practice squad and then 7 on the official depth chart. That is quite a bit. So Collin Johnson is the 2nd-year wide receiver out of Texas. He was drafted in the 5th round last year by the Jaguars. He was seen in very limited action, only tallying 18 catches for 272 yards and 2 touchdowns. And coming out of Texas, he was somebody that missed a good amount of the 2019 college season because of a hamstring issue. I hope that, of course, does not come back to affect him. He seems healthy since. But he's a good outside receiver. He uses his size well. He has good ball skills. He has below average speed. He uses his length well to have a good catch radius. And kind of like Kenny Golladay, he's not afraid to kind of put his body on the line to make the catch, or, just absorb great contact to make a catch. And he gives as good as he gets. He also uses that to kind of bully smaller or maybe even corners of his same size to get that catch. As somebody that could honestly get the ball anywhere on the field, he does whatever he can to come down with it. Like I mentioned earlier, he's going to be a nightmare in the end zone if he manages to polish up all his cons, which is mostly route running. His route tree is kind of limited. He needs to get more yards after the catch. He also needs to get more separation. A lot of the basics. He just needs to elevate himself as a wide receiver. Now, this was something that was entertained even before he was drafted, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's brought up again, because the Giants tight end situation is kind of thin. But if Collin Johnson were to put on a couple of pounds, say 20, 25, he could become a move tight end in the NFL, and I think he'd have success there. And it's an idea, once again, that was thrown around even before he was drafted, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's thrown around now because of our tight end depth. But don't be surprised if the Giants take him and say he doesn't get snaps at receiver. They move him to tight end, and we'll see how that goes. And now moving on to Quincy Roche, the guy I'm most excited about, to be honest. Drafted by the Steelers in the 6th round in April, way too low in my opinion. Pass rusher, out of Miami, he was right behind those other two guys in Jalen Phillips and Greg Rousseau. He had 4.5 sacks with 13.5 tackles for loss. Before going to Miami, he was a pass rusher at Temple for the first 3 years of his career. And those 3 years at Temple, he dominated. In his last one, he was the AAC Defensive Player in the Year. And Roche is just a technician of the game because he's not that athletic. You know what I'm saying? He's not that big. His size is actually kind of perfect to play 3-4 outside linebacker in my opinion. But he doesn't have the two things people usually go to when they look at pass rush, the athleticism and the size. So how does he get to the quarterback and how does he do it effectively? It's because it's his technique, man. He's a true technician of the game. He has great hands, great vision, and he processes everything quickly. He also has really good bend on the edge, and that was shown in the Hall of Fame game against the Cowboys. That's how he got his sack. He just got really low to the ground and bent around the Cowboys tackle to get straight to, I think it was Ben DiNucci. You combine that with what he's done in college, I'm just really excited for him. I personally think that he's better than a guy that a lot of Giants fans are high on in Ellerson Smith. I really do. And I think that he could develop into something better than Ellerson can. They're kind of the opposite players. Ellerson has the size, he has the athleticism, but he doesn't have the technique. And then Roche, he has the technique, doesn't have the size, doesn't have the athleticism. It's going to be very fun to watch and see how that plays out. But I absolutely love this pickup by the Giants. I really do. He was somebody I wanted. He was somebody that showed his skills in his game for the Steelers during preseason. Literally the only reason this man was cut was because the Steelers are stacked at edge rushing position. You could go out and ask any Steelers fan there. They probably wish they kept him. And then finally, the last guy that we added, new guy that we added from another team was Justin Hilliard, Ohio State Buckeye. Now, before I get into him, I will say he is 100% just a role player. The other guys I could see actually getting some snaps as a rotational player. Like I could see Collin Johnson getting in there, you know, as a good depth wide receiver. If they move into tight end, he will get more action. And then for sure, Quincy Roche, whether it's this year or the next, I could see him getting in there as a positional pass rusher. And I will say for both of them, I could definitely see them being here more than just 1 year. With Justin Hilliard, I really just do view him as depth, and I'm not even sure if he's going to be here for this year, let alone more than 1 year. But at Ohio State, he was already in a buried depth chart. He was behind like Baron Browning, Tuff Borland, Pete Werner. So it's not exactly like he had a chance to show anything that he had. And I definitely don't know him as well as I do the other two. So what I'm going to read to you guys is a quote from NJ.com on what they had to say on him. They said, Hilliard is an undrafted rookie out of Ohio State this year and spent the offseason with the 49ers. He had 18 total tackles in 3 preseason games and graded out well on PFF in terms of run defense and tackling, though he struggled a bit in coverage. He wasn't especially productive at Ohio State, only accumulating 84 tackles in 36 games. Hilliard actually had a 6-year career at Ohio State after suffering injury the first 2 of his career. On the Giants, they're deep at inside linebacker with Blake, Tay, Reggie, and Carter Coughlin, but Hilliard will be expected to contribute on special teams. So yeah, that's another thing as well. With the amount of guys we added in terms of linebacking depth, I'd say we're rolling with 4, maybe 5 at most inside linebackers, and I'm fine with the guys we have right now. Obviously, Hilliard is not going to be expected to take that second starting spot next to Blake. That's really an open competition between 3 guys in Tay, Reggie, and Carter. But if he's here for depth and special teams, I guess I understand the move. I'm not going to be against it, that's for sure. I'm a trust judge when it comes to his own forte, and like I said in yesterday's video about the initial 53-man roster, it seems like they're really focusing on getting a lot of players that could play special teams. So I expect a big improvement from special teams this year. But that's about it so far, guys, in terms of the guys that we added and what we did with the practice squad. I didn't really say much on the practice squad because I feel like we already know most of those players. But that's it for now. Put your thoughts down below. Let me know what you think. Like, share, subscribe, and I'm out. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. I'll catch y'all on the next one.